AI took 3 of my videos and 3 articles and remixed it into a podcast. Now, what do we do with it? One of my subscribers to my email list got back in touch and said, hey, I was looking for a little bit of fresh inspiration and I took these 3 videos and these articles, and I'll link the articles in the description just so for full transparency. And it came out with this podcast style conversation between 2 people talking about how to use stillness and how to get inspired and how to get on with creativity. I actually thought it was quite good. Now, I must preface and say I shared it with my bandmate and he was like, I can't possibly listen to it. There's something about the human timbre of the voice that just it doesn't work for me. So if that's you and you can't listen to it, that's totally fine. But I do think that the content's really good. It will save you watching or rewatching these 3 videos and it'll have some new thoughts woven in there. But really, I just want to give you something to listen to and start a conversation about AI. I'm not talking about the, all of the problematic ideas or the fear-mongering that's going on. I'm just talking about it as a tool to help summarize things. And personally, I use it for that on the regular, and I think it's useful. I don't think it's coming to take our jobs, but that's just me. And I do think it makes for a great intern or digital assistant. But have a listen to this. I'll put it to some nice kind of background video, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. As always, if there's any way I can support you, please get in touch. And there'll be a link in the description for my Space for Creativity starter kit, and that'll help you get away from digital distractions with a PDF workshop and a video. And then there's also another PDF that I'll send you a few days afterwards with 7 types of rest that you can start to engage in and help you build a foundation for you to have space for creativity and more of the things that are important to you. Okay, on to the podcast. And I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Hey, you.
Yeah.
Are you feeling that weight of everything lately?
Yeah.
Kind of like you're juggling just a few too many things, maybe feeling a bit grumpy.
The default setting.
Right. And that sense of moving forward feels, well, maybe more like a wobble than real progress.
I think a lot of us feel that way.
We definitely get it. And that's why today we're diving into something maybe a bit unexpected.
Okay.
It's this really potent connection between, believe it or not, adult play and the power of art and creativity. It might just be the lift you need.
That's interesting because, we tend to think play is just for kids, right?
Exactly.
But the sources we're looking at today, some great stuff from Rolly Miller on YouTube, practical tips from WikiHow, insights from Psychology Today, excellence from middle leaders. They all suggest that need for play doesn't just disappear when we grow up.
If anything, it gets more important.
It arguably does, yeah. Especially with adult pressures.
And Rolly Miller kicks things off with this really interesting shift. He says, what if we stop thinking about making art?
Right, the pressure of that.
And start thinking about playing with art. Just playing.
That small language change, it feels significant, doesn't it?
It really does.
And it connects directly to something Brian Eno said, which Miller brings up. Play is how kids learn. It's their engine.
Okay.
And art is how adults learn. It serves that same function.
So art is like adult learning through play.
Exactly.
Right.
That same spirit of just exploring, trying things out, no rigid expectations. That's what fuels a kid's growth. And it's right there at the heart of creativity for us adults, too. It's tapping into that fundamental drive we have to keep learning, keep figuring things out.
It feels so basic, so innate when you put it like that. Miller talks about his puppy, always wanting to play.
Let's see it in animals.
And kids lost in imaginary worlds. So it's just this fundamental desire to explore and interact.
Mm.
And then he makes this connection that really resonated with me. He links it to how much we enjoy getting lost in a good book or a TV show or a film.
Ah, okay. I see where he's going.
It's a type of play, isn't it? We're stepping into these other worlds, feeling different emotions, but in a safe space. It's like our grown-up version of make-believe.
It is. Think about how immersive that can be. You detach from the daily grind. You engage with possibilities. It's just like a kid building a whole story with blocks.
Yeah.
And Miller uses these great examples like pilots in flight simulators.
Right, super serious stuff.
Or Formula One teams with their complex setups. Looks like work, high-stakes work, but deep down, it's intense play. Experimenting, learning fast, adapting. That's critical for them.
That's a great analogy. Play is serious learning.
And it's interesting, too, how Miller points out that video games have become, well, pretty normal for adults now.
Oh, definitely.
It's just an accepted way for grown-ups to play, explore, even connect with others.
Okay, so we're establishing play is key. It's linked to creativity.
Oh,
But let's dig a bit deeper. Why is embracing this so important for us, as adults just trying to manage everything?
right. This is where it gets really practical. Miller highlights how just playing, engaging in something playful, it's a fantastic stress reliever.
I could use some of that.
We all could. And it genuinely lifts your mood. You're giving that overworked problem-solving bit of your brain a break.
A vacation for the brain.
Yeah.
Like it.
Exactly. And interestingly, it actually stimulates your cognitive function. It sparks new connections, makes you think more flexibly, basically sharpens your creative edge.
So less pressure, more ideas.
Yeah,
It sounds almost backward, but it makes sense.
it does. And Miller also talks about how play helps with personal growth. It's an outlet for self-expression, connecting with parts of yourself that, might get pushed aside by the daily routine.
Yeah, like discovering something new about yourself when you're just messing around with paints or music or whatever.
Totally. It's about finding balance, isn't it? Adult life is full of responsibilities, pressures. Play is that vital release valve. It helps you decompress. Miller even connects creative expression to Maslow's hierarchy, that idea of self-actualization.
Yeah.
Becoming your fullest self.
The pyramid.
Well, he mentions he prefers maybe a graph, something showing it's more fluid than a strict pyramid, but the core idea holds. We have this deep human need to be creative, to contribute something uniquely ours.
And he really pinpoints that disconnect many adults feel, right? Between their jobs and that deeper sense of purpose, especially creatively.
Yes. It's like we build these walls. Work is here, life is there, and creativity is maybe a weekend hobby, if we're lucky.
Yeah.
Seen as a luxury.
Instead of a necessity.
Exactly. And that can leave you feeling like something's missing, even if you can't quite name it. Miller really stresses this isn't just a nice to have, it's fundamental. We need to shape things, innovate, express ourselves.
Okay, so the big question then is, how? How do we actually do this? How do we bring more play and creativity back into our busy adult lives?
Right, the practical steps. Miller's first suggestion is beautifully simple. Just lower the stakes.
Less pressure.
Treat your creative attempts like experiments, explorations, not pass-fail tests. That immediately dials down the fear.
Take the sting out of potential failure.
And embracing imperfection is key too, allowing for mistakes. Miller points out those mistakes, those unexpected turns, they often lead to the coolest discoveries. They're not dead ends. They're like secret pathways.
I like that, finding treasure in the errors.
And really lean into curiosity.
Yeah.
Miller gives these great examples, like photographers shooting through weird glass or using fairy lights in photos.
Thinking unconventional.
Yeah, just intentionally breaking routines, playing with the tools, seeing what happens.
And what about environment? Does that matter?
Miller says it does. Create a playful space. Doesn't have to be a fancy studio. Could be a corner of a room, a cafe, maybe just being outdoors, somewhere that feels less rigid.
Somewhere you feel free to mess up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And collaboration. Miller suggests musicians jamming with new people, dancers trying different styles, mixing perspectives sparks new things.
That cross-pollination effect.
Precisely. And the WikiHow article on songwriting has similar advice, like just relax and start writing anything.
Don't censor yourself at the start.
Right. Random words, feelings, half ideas. Just get something down. Bypass the inner judge and let it flow. Prime the pump, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
Miller also brings up Ira Glass's idea. Volume over perfection.
Produce a lot of work.
Just keep doing it. The more you create, even if it's not amazing at first, the more you practice and the closer you get to making stuff you're actually happy with. It's about the consistency.
And focusing on the process, not just the final thing.
Yes. Miller emphasizes falling in love with the doing of it, not just dreaming about the finished masterpiece.
That ties back to lowering the stakes, too.
Absolutely. And Rick Rubin's advice, which Miller mentions, just play with the tools. Don't aim for a symphony every time. Just explore, see what the paint does, what the instrument sounds like.
Get familiar, get comfortable.
And Miller adds a practical point.
Hmm?
Actually learn your tools well. It reduces frustration and helps you get into that flow state more easily.
Okay, that makes sense. Knowing your gear lets you focus on the creating.
Then there's this interesting angle from Psychology Today about downtime.
Downtime, like doing nothing.
Sort of, those moments in the shower or just taking a walk, when your conscious mind relaxes, stops trying so hard. That's often when creative ideas just pop up.
Ah, the subconscious working its magic.
Yeah, the article even suggests meditation can help train your mind to access that more open, creative space.
Interesting. What about building knowledge?
Good point. Tina Seelig, mentioned in the Excellence for Middle Leaders article, talks about building a strong knowledge base. She calls it a toolbox for imagination.
So having lots to draw upon.
Exactly, and creating environments that actively support creativity. That article also stresses how vital safe spaces are.
Safe spaces.
Places where you feel okay thinking differently, trying weird ideas, without fear of being shot down. That builds creative confidence.
Right. Crucial for taking risks.
And it points out that creativity and, say, work goals or learning objectives aren't enemies. They can work together. Having solid knowledge is often essential for real creative breakthroughs.
So structure and freedom can coexist.
They need each other in a way, but through all these different sources, one piece of advice echoes again and again.
Let me guess.
Just do it.
Pretty much. Just create. Whether it's Ray Bradbury saying just right or that article's simple call to action. The key is starting and then keeping at it.
Yeah.
Flexing those creative muscles regularly so they don't atrophy.
And the article suggests practical ways like tapping into your interests, encouraging discovery, involving others, tackling real problems.
Yes, and fostering imagination, promoting creative risk-taking. Lots of good, actionable ideas there.
Okay, but let's talk about the big blocker for many people. That voice inside your head.
Ah, the inner critic. Yes. Miller spends a whole video on this and on Ira Glass's concept of the gap.
The gap. What's that? It's that often painful space between your taste, it's good, you have high standards, and your current ability to actually produce work at that level.
Oh, I know that feeling well.
Yeah.
What you make just doesn't live up to what you admire.
Exactly. Miller says it's super common, especially when you're starting out or coming back to something creative. And frustratingly, our taste often develops way faster than our skills can catch up.
Yeah, that seems right.
And this gap, fueled by that nagging inner critic, can just paralyze you.
Totally. Makes you want to just quit.
Or abandon projects, get stuck in perfectionism loops where nothing's ever good enough. It can really mess with your confidence, make you question if you're creative at all.
So what do you do? Just ignore it.
Well, Miller argues that trying to ignore the critic or the gap often backfires. It just makes them louder, more powerful.
Okay. So face it.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Reframe it. Miller suggests the gap isn't just bad. It can be a teacher. It shows you what you care about, what your standards are.
Okay. A difficult teacher, maybe?
Perhaps. But he shares Brian Eno's idea here, too. Making art is the process of understanding it. You don't usually start with a perfect, finished idea in your head.
You figure it out as you go.
Exactly. The understanding emerges through the making, the playing.
That takes some pressure off.
It does. And Millie points out the gap can also motivate you, act as a quality filter, even guide you towards your own unique style.
So it's not just a negative thing.
Not entirely. And he stresses that feeding your taste, reading widely, watching films, listening to music is just as important as actually making stuff.
Keep learning, keep absorbing.
Yes. And he has this cool practical tip. Create a gap portfolio.
With that.
Just regularly save your work.
Wow.
Then look back at older stuff periodically. You'll actually see how far you've come. It's concrete proof of progress.
Oh, that's a great idea. Actually seeing the improvement.
Right. And it helps counter that unfair comparison game we play. Miller reminds us everyone's journey is unique. Comparing your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20 just isn't helpful.
So true.
Ultimately, Miller's take is that the gap isn't something to dread. It's a sign you're engaged, you care, you have taste. It means you're on the right track, even if it feels uncomfortable sometimes.
Okay. So, wrapping this all up then. The main takeaway feels pretty clear. Embracing playfulness, making space for creativity.
Yeah.
It's not just fluff.
Not at all.
Mhm.
It's essential for well-being as adults. It helps manage stress, keeps our minds sharp, fosters growth. It even helps us navigate a world that's always changing.
It's like a toolkit for resilience.
In a way, yes. And that gap we just talked about, between our vision and our current skill, it's normal. Everyone feels it.
It's part of the process.
Exactly. Not a sign you should stop, but a sign you're growing. And
Yeah.
you bridge it through steady effort, finding joy in the process itself, and, being a bit kinder to yourself.
Self-compassion. So the question for you listening is, what's one small way you can bring a little more play, a little more creative exploration into your life, maybe even starting today.
Hey, so what did you think of that? Personally, I really enjoyed the content. Some of the dynamics between the speakers I thought were a bit too forced. They're trying too hard to make it real and relatable. I wouldn't listen to a podcast if that was the style in which they presented it. That would put me off. But other than that, I liked the way it was summarized. I thought it was put together quite well. I think they could have used Rowley a few more times rather than just calling me Miller. I don't mind, it's my name, so I'm okay with that. But yeah, and I think that might have made it a little bit more informal. But I can't wait to hear what you've got to say. Okay. That's it for this video. It's lovely and sunny and warm here in Dublin, so I'm going to get back out into the garden. So many things to do. But I hope you're having a great day, and if there's any way I can support you, let me know. YouTube will recommend another video for you here. Take a watch of that. You take care. Bye now.